Nice to see you, buddy.
It's great to see you, brother.
Next to you on that couch, but
Hey,
we'll the two
it's
cameras
nice and
up
comfy.
now.
So, Tom, you came into my sphere a few years ago. You've become a really good friend of mine over the last couple of years. And, you know, I've been in sales in some capacity my whole life. And I thought I knew how to cold call until I met you. So for the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about cold calling. We're going to talk about how it relates to the audience specifically. A couple things we're going to talk about. There's solopreneurs out here, people who own their own business, what type of phone calls they need to be making, what kind of cadence, what's involved in that. But then also we have a lot of event organizers, and I'd love to talk about event registration emails, et cetera. But let's start first with our solopreneurs, Tommy. What are some of the gospel things that we need to consider when we are dialing for dollars? Because the phones still matter. It's still critical in 2023 going into 2024.
100%. For those that don't know, I'm a 16-year sales vet. I've made over 500,000 cold calls. That's all I've done is cold call. I love it. I'm a founder myself, like a lot of you, 15 months into it of my own venture. And when you are cold calling, you just have to remember people are people. They are just like you and I. There is no need for a song and dance. Don't have to stick to a script. You want to be conversational.
Yep.
You want to put everything on them, make them the focus point. So, hey, Nick, it's Tom over at the SD Lab. How have you been? Hey, the reason for my call is I was curious what some media production companies are doing right now. What is your challenge with going into 2024 at the moment?
So let's pause there, because let's go even a step back on that, Tommy. I think what's really interesting to consider is that the reality is, even if you're a veteran salesperson, it's intimidating to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
A lot of solopreneurs are not wired. They don't have, necessarily the skin hasn't been thickened to take the no and the rejection. So how do I get into the mind frame before I actually pick up the phone?
Practice. Practice. When I was first getting into cold calling, I was scared, right? Like, it was terrifying. You're getting rejected, a lot of voicemails. As a founder too and a solopreneur, you're super invested. You even, right? We talked about this. You're invested because it's your product and your business, and it's terrifying to see that rejection. When you're cold calling for somebody else, you're a little detached,
Right.
but it's your stuff. And so practicing, calling your friends, calling your family, just going through the reps, going through the entire call. What would a perfect call look like? So you know what to expect and you can kind of see it played out. That will create that resilience and kind of give you that comfortability of what works for me, practicing your tonality, smiling
Right.
when you call, bringing out that emotion. But it is terrifying, right? Even I, 15, 16 years in, I still sometimes I'm like, oh man, I got to do this because it can be grinding. But you just got to practice, get comfortable, know your stuff. And really, I think the best thing you can do is get into the world of your buyers and your prospects. That's going to make it the easiest thing you can do, because then you just want to help and you're excited to talk to people. Learn from them. Jump on a phone and don't worry about getting a meeting or a sale, but learn from that call. So when you go into the next one, you're stronger. Hey, Nick, I was just talking to Liz over here. She was telling me this is where she's at with her event reg and some of the things she's going through and her vendor relationships. Where are you seeing that? And now you're becoming an expert. You're becoming a consultant. They're like, hey, this person knows what's going on, right?
So let's unpack that. So we kind of joke, we have like 20 to 25 seconds to get someone on the line and then get them interested in continuing the conversation. So what are some of the key things that need to be in that 20 to 25 seconds? What are the core elements I need?
Your tone, your delivery, and a really, really strong opener that gets them engaged and talking. Right? So like, how are you? Or, hey, a permission-based opener where you're like, hey, do I have, can I take a minute of your time? Those things can be fluffy and get really rejected pretty quickly.
Okay. So
you just want to come in, smile, bring that emotion, be really locked in. Hey, Nick, it's Tom. How have you been? Because that's contagious. They'll see the smile. It's the only arsenal we have, right? The tool in our arsenal is our tone and the way we deliver, because they can't see you. So when you can bring the emotion, I like to stand up before getting into a call, get that open and power pose, and then get that opener down to where it's problem centric, it's focused on them, no close-ended questions, so you're not getting those no's out of, you're getting those no's up front. But it's like, hey, Nick, the reason for my call, blah, 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 and then that question. What are you doing with this right now? How is this even a priority for you at the moment, and how are you tackling it? Because now you can pause, and they're going to start talking.
I like that. So if I'm going to, let's say, let's start with this. Should I time block if I own my own company and I know I need to do this? Should I time block like 15-minute segments a couple times a week, half an hour segments? or should it be a regular cadence? How do you think about that, Tom?
Well, you all know, you've already got enough hats on, right? You've got a lot. We both do. It's tough. I do about 2 hours a day. You can use tools. There's like parallel dialers. There's some really cool tech that'll allow you to do like 5 dials at a time. So you can really kind of crank it out and really maximize that window. But 100% time block. Get it on your calendar, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. It's every day for 2 hours. Play with your afternoons and your mornings, depending on your buyers, right? Don't be calling during lunch. Don't be calling first thing in the morning, like 10 to 12, maybe 3 to 4. Block those out because your pipeline always needs to be moving and always needs to be buzzing, especially as a founder. And the best way to do that is to have that instant kind of call, right? You're right on the phone. You can talk. You can ask questions. So yes, highly time block. Do it a couple times a week, 2-3 hours. Have a really solid list of people you want to call, and then just let them rip, right? You're going to have 98% of the time you're going to strike out. One thing we could talk about is like how to deal with that rejection, right? One of my favorite analogies is like baseball. Right? Some of the Hall of Fame baseball players are batting 300. That's 30% of the time. So 70% of the time at the plate, they're doing nothing.
And I think one of the most important things that founders or solopreneurs need to think about is that if you're an entrepreneur, you're a seller.
Yeah.
And if you're in sales, I would tell when I was training salespeople, if you're in sales, you need to think like an entrepreneur. You own that division.
You're a franchise within a franchise. I tell AEs and SDRs and solo folks all the time, like, you're buying into that franchise. If I go buy Subway and become a franchise owner of Subway, that's my business, right? I got to generate that revenue within the brand of Subway. So when you join your company, you're a solo, like, you're a seller, whether you like it or not. That's just the way the world works. You got to get your product in front of people. And the best way to do it to break through the noise is just pick up the phone.
I love it. So let's think about it this way. Sell me something right now. Pretend you're cold calling me. I'm from Splice Video. I'm one of the co-founders of Splice Video. Are you selling me a flamingo? Okay, this is interesting. I'm curious to see where you go here, Tommy. So I'm Nick from Splice Video. I got my phone ready. I'm getting a call from a number I don't recognize. Go.
Hey, Nick, it's Tom Slocum with Flamingo Cups. How have you been?
Good. What's this about?
Cups. Everybody needs them on their daily life, right? You got a cup with you in your hand right now?
Don't. There's one on my desk. Fair enough.
Yeah. So I have an offer for you today. I've been talking with some other solo founders, and what they always don't do enough in their day is drink water. How often are you drinking water?
Not enough.
Not enough, right? You got to go back and through, get constantly filling up. I got something for you. I've got Flamingo Cups. They hold 64 ounces of water for you. What do you think increasing your water intake would look like for you after 3-4 days?
Well, I've been listening to a lot of Huberman lately, so I think I need at least a gallon a day.
Gallon a day.
Yeah.
We even have that size for you, so you fill it up one time and you can hit your daily metric of drinking 1 gallon, and it's in a Flamingo.
So I love what you're doing. You're digging into the pain points, or at least the pain points you think I might have. Why is that so important to really understand your persona's pain point?
Because that's what ticks, right? Like, you don't go buy a new TV just for, the heck of it. You do it when it breaks, or the pain comes from that TV, right? Nobody's just buying them and saying, I got 5 in my garage. I'm going to make that pain happen when the TV breaks. So when you can be problem-centric, you're putting it on them, you're making it about them, you're showing them that you know their world, right? I was like, look, you're a founder. I know a lot of founders who don't drink water. It's like a number one thing. They forget about it, right? Makes it relatable. You're like, yeah, that's me. They're thinking in their head. And you're putting it on them. I didn't bring a value prop to you. I didn't pitch my product right off the gate like that. It was more of digging in and seeing what you know.
Right.
My motto for you all is seek to understand and then be understood.
It's interesting. So let's flip the script now. I'm a little nervous. Let's pretend I'm cold calling you.
Oh, here we go.
Break it apart. Rip it apart, Tom. All right.
Hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing? It's Nick from Splice Video. I've been watching your Instagram lately, and I noticed you've been making a lot of video content. You caught my attention, but I noticed, Tom, that you're not getting incredible amount of engagement. Do you have 15 minutes to have a conversation about how we can kind of blow you up online using what you're already doing, just maybe shining the light in a slightly different direction?
Okay. You want me to give you feedback?
Yeah, I want it, and don't hold back.
So you immediately kind of pitch slapped, right? You went right into the value prop of Splice Video. And so you opened incredibly. You made them feel good. You made me feel good, like you caught my eye. I'm paying attention, right? But then you talked about the engagement piece. Now ask me, what have I been doing to tackle that engagement? hey, I've noticed you haven't really been popping off, but I think the content's great. Where are you running into roadblocks?
I love that. So you volleyed it back now to the prospect. So now it gives them A, the opportunity to answer the question. B, gives you more insight.
You're not you're not assuming.
Right.
Because you can go with that value prop and say 15 things I've already done or said, and now I can reject you and say, hey, Nick, I've actually done all of that, but thanks for the call.
I just assume everyone wants to blow up the brand online,
Right.
but maybe that's me.
Right, but maybe they've been trying, right? And so like, hey, you know, I clearly see it. I've been working with a lot of people on their content. Where are you seeing the holdup? And you can even come as an expert and say, you know, give them 3 options. I like to do 3 options, you know, like, hey, Nick, saw you've been trying to blow up. Couple things I've been seeing in the space is people are either having a hard time with like the hashtags, the quality of the video, or really where to redistribute it so it does get that engagement. Which of those is kind of top of, you know, a big roadblock for you? Oh, Nick, it's really, you know, the hashtags, man. I don't even know. Well, I got a little tool for you. Have you ever heard of this? Now you're building trust, credibility, and then you're going to come in and say, but that's why I called you, Nick. Would love to help you. We actually do all of that in-house. Most of our people are seeing up to 20 to 25% increase in their engagement just within 3 weeks of us bringing our expertise. Would you be down for a product overview and kind of diving into that? Because I'd love to get you this in front of more people because you're killing it. It just seems that there's a few tweaks we can make.
See, this is why you hire a professional like the SD Labs. Tom, I have so many questions, but we're kind of limited on time. But let's talk now to the event organizers. How do I think about syncing up my event that we've put all this blood, sweat, and tears and effort into, that the company is, we want to get more marketing qualified leads out of this event? How do I think about aligning my sales team and the messaging that they're sending out to the people who may or may not attend the event?
Ooh, this is a good one, right? Event reg. It's obviously beforehand and even the post follow-up. I watch the post follow-up fall apart all the time. But when you're an event person, get your salespeople involved. Let them know who this event is for, truly who's it for. Like the real ICP, the real target here, why it matters. You know, what is it that you're trying to solve from this? What are the benefits? And then allow them to now go to market and say, hey, Nick, we got a great event coming up this Thursday. The reason I reached out and why I think it'd be great for you is X, Y, Z. Right. Is this a priority for you in 2024? And would you be, you know, available to make this, right? And get them to help you push that registration, because getting on the phone, breaking it down, giving that personal invite of like, hey, I reached out to you. I want to personally invite you to the show, versus an email campaign going out to the masses saying, hey, we got an event, you know, just click the button and come through. That doesn't seem genuine, right? And it's very markety. But when you can get on the phone and say, Liz, I called you because you're an event marketer. We've got an incredible event conference with insights, things coming along. Are you available Thursday for 30 minutes? We'd love to see you pop in once or twice.
You know, one of the best things I ever did, this ties to video, but I use Loom Video very often in my sales sequence and my cadences. And here's a great way, a hack to scale it that I've used. I would do one video and say, hey, Tom, we've got this event coming up, ABC. Now I have Tom locked away. So now I got a Tom and a Mike and a Mary and a...
Yeah, you could scale with their name. You can get the background of the event landing page, because the marketers, your event planners, put such beautiful spin on this beautiful landing page. Do a screen share, right? Hey, Nick, if you have yourself down in the bottom, show off the event landing page, maybe highlight a couple pieces of it. Hey, we got these speakers. You know this guy. You know this gal. Hey, we're going to be here. It looks like it's in your backyard. You know, can I send you over that registration? And the other little hack that I would give you is, too many people will just send the invite and say, hey, come. Try to be permission-based when you're closing it up. Hey, Nick, saw this event for you. Do you mind if I send you the link to register? Because now they have to reply to you. So you get that reply. Salespeople, we all love that. And then 2, they feel like, okay, you asked me, versus just dropping this invite on me and just assuming I'll click this, right? So it's like, hey, Nick, saw this event for you. You mind if I send this over your way? Now I have a connection with you post-event too, because now we've talked.
And that is so critical. I mean, it's so important. So we did this when we want to show someone a video. I will ask permission. I'll be like, hey, listen, you know, prospect A, we work on a lot of things like this, like X, Y, and Z. Can I send you a video to show you what that looks like? And I probably get an 80% reply of yes on that. And now what we've done is we've moved the relationship forward. Everything you just said, we're developing a relationship, and now I have permission to show them what I really wanted to show them.
After the fact, right?
Tommy, we've got to wrap up, and I don't want to do that because you and I could talk about this for hours. But real quick, one more thing for, again, more for the solopreneurs, we talk about, dialing. Where do you find the phone numbers? I know that seems so simple, but that was a big block for me at the beginning. It was like, I just don't know where to get these phone numbers from. What do you use?
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a couple plugs. Shout out to these companies. Data is the gem of all things cold calling. If you don't have that locked in, doesn't matter how good you are on the phone, you're not going to get the connects. So a couple you can look at, some giants are Zoom Info, really big one. For those solopreneurs with a little bit lower end profits to put in, Apollo.io. Apollo.io will give it to you for $100 a month. You get the email, unlimited email, mobile numbers, and you get the sequencing. So you can actually do email campaigns out of it and some buyer intent. So Apollo.io, Lead Data, Lucia, Seamless.ai gets some good data, Cognism. There's a lot. I personally, I have like 7 or 8 in my own stack because you're always verifying. If you have the funds, always put it into your data first and foremost.
But if you're just starting, Apollo at $100 a month is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's actually what we use at Splice Video. So just a quick hack.
Just a quick hack there, yeah. If you've got the lower end budget, $100, and then you're paying like a little extra for those mobile numbers, but it'll give you really good accuracy, get you that email campaign function, and you're ready to hit the races.
Last point, if you are struggling with your sales, pick up the phone and call. Nothing is more effective than actually calling someone. And think about this. There's the old sales metric. You got to make 100 calls to get 10 people interested to get 1 to buy. You can make 100 calls in a couple hours. You can find a buyer today. It's possible. You just have to pick up the phone.
Y'all can land some meetings, yeah.
You, my friend?
LinkedIn, Tom Slocum. I got a fire emoji in front of my name. If you guys need help, you want to hash it out, do a workshop, let me know. But LinkedIn, I post a lot of content around cold calling, sales methodology. So follow me there, drop me a DM, and it was a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Such a pleasure. And if any of you were ever coming through Phoenix, DM me because
we're here.
Come crash your event.
We're here.
We'll just bring the fun if you're in Phoenix. All right, Tom, thank you very much.
Absolutely, brother.
So much.
Thank you so much. Make sure you get a Flamingo Cup.